If you've ever been told you just need to relax, take a break, slow down, or my personal favorite, practice being thankful, and felt quietly irritated instead of helped, this video's for you. Because the problem isn't that those ideas are wrong. It's that they're missing the mark. Most men don't reject stress advice because they're stubborn. They reject it because it doesn't match their reality. You don't wake up overwhelmed because you're ungrateful. You don't feel pressure because you forgot to breathe. You don't feel overloaded because you haven't journaled enough. You feel overloaded because people depend on you. Decisions stack up faster than they can get resolved. Mistakes are expensive and quitting, frankly, isn't an option. So when someone tells you to just relax, at the very least, it feels disconnected. Almost insulting. Because relaxing doesn't solve the thing waiting for you on Monday morning. Here's the misdiagnosis that most stress advice makes. It treats stress like an emotional problem. But for most high-functioning men, stress isn't primarily emotional. It's cognitive and directional. Your system isn't panicking. It's overloaded. Your mind isn't anxious for no reason. It's trying to manage too much information, responsibility, and consequence all at once. Stress in your case isn't a feeling. It's a signal that your internal load has exceeded your capacity to organize it clearly. Stress isn't what happens when life gets hard. It's what happens when too much remains unresolved. And when that happens, the brain doesn't need soothing first. It needs order. This is why rest alone doesn't work. Vacations help your body. Sleep helps your nervous system. Downtime reduces immediate pressure. But none of those things automatically restore clarity. You can rest your body and still carry unresolved decisions. You can take time off and still have mental noise waiting for you. You can feel physically relaxed and mentally crowded all at once. That's because rest pauses input, but it doesn't reorder what's already inside. And when men come back from rest without clarity, they don't feel refreshed. They feel disappointed, like something is wrong with them. Gratitude is valuable, don't get me wrong. And in the right context, it deepens meaning. But gratitude doesn't remove responsibility. And telling a man under load to be grateful often adds another pressure. Now I'm stressed and I feel guilty about it. Gratitude works best when a system is already ordered. When things are clear, gratitude deepens meaning. When things are chaotic, gratitude feels like denial. You see, high-functioning men don't need to be reminded that life has blessings. They need help deciding what deserves their attention right now. This is also why some men bounce off certain forms of therapy or assume it's not for them altogether. Not because emotions don't matter, but because talking without structure can actually increase that noise. And when everything feels important, nothing feels actionable. Men under pressure don't need to dig endlessly into feelings without direction. They need help narrowing that focus, organizing priorities, reducing internal interference, and restoring clear decision-making. Emotion follows clarity, not the other way around. There's something deeper going on here. Let me explain what's actually happening under the hood. Your brain is excellent at short-term problem solving, but it's terrible at carrying dozens of open loops, long-term ambiguity, responsibility without feedback, and pressure without resolution. When that load stays unorganized, the brain shifts into constant monitoring mode, always scanning, always bracing, always on. I don't know if that's really anxiety, but to me, that's vigilance. And vigilance is just exhausting. Even strong men weren't designed to live there indefinitely, because no one ever taught men how to manage internal load. They were taught to endure, to push, to fight, to provide, and simply handle it. So when overload hits, men don't ask what needs to be reordered. They ask, what's wrong with me? That's not humility. That's misplaced responsibility. Even strength needs structure to function well. There's a quiet wisdom here that's ancient. Humans were never designed to carry everything all at once. Burden wasn't meant to be shared. Time was meant to be segmented. Provision was meant to be daily, not hoarded mentally for the future. And when load exceeds clarity, the answer isn't shame, it's realignment. Order before endurance, direction before effort. Even the strongest leaders throughout history withdrew, not to escape responsibility, but to reorder themselves before returning to it. So what does work? Not crazy hype theories, not platitudes, not telling yourself to try harder. What works is interrupting mental noise and restoring order. That interruption can come through focused attention, structured reflection, sound and rhythm, narrowing the field of concern, giving your mind a clear hierarchy again. And when clarity returns, stress drops without being forced. Discipline becomes useful again. Effort feels purposeful instead of punishing. This isn't about doing less. It's about seeing clearly enough to do the right things. Stress isn't the enemy. Confusion is. Overload isn't a failure. It's feedback. And when men who learn to listen to that signal instead of fighting it or numbing it, don't just feel better. They lead better. They decide better. They live life more intentionally. If most stress advice hasn't worked for you, it's not because you're resistant. It's because it was never designed for the way you actually carry responsibility. In the next video, we'll talk about what clarity actually looks like under pressure and why most men recognize it when it starts to return. If this is landing, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.